New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev BRZ and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And this is Ministers Talking Shit for Friday, May 16th. It's the middle of May. May Day, May Day, May Day. Oh, no, that was earlier this month. I guess I'm just getting used to saying May Day, May Day, May Day. Thanks for being with us, folks. Welcome to that program where we get to look at what's going on in the world, what's going on in our country, what's going on in the news, and try to make some spiritual sense out of it all. It's kind of tough to find the oneness some days, but we do our best. And I'm officially declaring today the 3-card Monty episode, because it feels like we're watching a game of 3-card Monty on a global stage. Is this about an airplane? Is this about immigration? Is this about peace talks? Or is this just a massive money grab to build a new resort on the beautiful beaches of Gaza, brought to you by the Trump Corporation? Where's the queen, Z? Where's the queen in this 15-card Monty game we're playing?
You did a great summation of it there, and I think if we look at the statement, if you will, that Pope Leo made earlier about the warning against de facto atheism, that we have allowed money, power, success, and all of these things to become our guiding light, that we're moving into an era where, empathy and compassion and things like that are going to be dwindling because they don't fit into the model of materialism, basically. And so, we're really walking on some thin ice. I mean, when you talked about the plane, when a president can say, I don't see anything wrong with a foreign company or foreign government, rather, that we are sometimes at odds with their religious beliefs and their cultural adaptations for 400 million. And then in that same area, you have the United Arab Emirates looking to put $2 billion worth of their money into his cryptocurrency. We have strayed far, far, far off course.
Yes. And it would appear it's going to be really tough to get the train back on the tracks, as it were.
It's like a comedy show.
Yeah, because where do you start, right? Trump made a statement to a reporter that about this plane deal, this plane jetliner thing, and his response was, well, they're offering a gift. Why wouldn't I take a gift? Well, maybe because it explicitly states in the Constitution that you're not allowed to accept gifts. Maybe that's a place that we start. Maybe the security issues alone are enough. Maybe because there's just something really slimy about taking a plane from a country that probably had something to do with flying the planes into 9/11. Like, there's so many reasons. And let's go back to the point that it's not even a plane. Come on, Donald, this thing's old. They've had this thing on the market for years. Nobody wants to buy it. It's obviously a lemon of an airplane. I can't understand why he would want this thing. It's not brand new. It's not gold. It's not anything. It doesn't say Trump on the side. You got to take the plane. Is that part of the you get the hotel bill? You got to take the plane off their hands. Like, okay, we'll give you some land for the gambling in the casino, and we'll make it outside of our jurisdiction, so it's not against our laws. But you got to take this fucking plane off. Excuse me, this plane off our hands for me.
The thing, I don't, there was this game when we were kids called Connect the Dots, right? You'd have this big square with all the dots, and the purpose of the game was to, get a square completed and then put your initials in there, and whoever had their initials the most in the game, won the game. Well, if people are connecting the dots, the cryptocurrency, the airplane, the whole, he's still pushing this idea to move all the Palestinians out of Gaza so he can make it this free zone or freedom zone or whatever he's trying to call it, basically, which is a money grab, right? To do that, you can see all of this. You see the stock market, the tariffs, all this. There are people making lots and lots of money on these crazy ups and downs and wars and rumors of wars, that this elite class of money are going to set us on a path, and it's already begun, and we're not even going to throw in the 2025 project in there as a foundation for this madness. We will be in such dire straits if we can't get some people to stand up and put some roadblocks on some of this that will take decades, if not centuries, to unravel. He's going to stop the Ukraine war first day. All right, we're long past first day. And they had the Ukraine thing to talks, and now that's gone apart. Vladimir arrived in Turkey. They were supposed to have it in Turkey when he was over there. That didn't happen. So when is it going to happen?
Right. I don't think we're ever going to. I don't know. And not to mention, I was going to say, I don't think we're actually going to see real peace talks in between Ukraine and Russia. I really think this whole thing looks like, right? Yeah, not showing up to Turkey really feels like just another little chess move by Putin, and another little thing to delay, cause whatever, and they're just playing. They're playing games, and we are blinded by our ignorance and our greed. I guess I don't know, our apathy and our greed.
It's and now the Supreme Court, in which I think is in line with all that you said, and I heard the story, but I hadn't had no details about the whole immigration thing from South Africa. But the Supreme Court is now looking at birthright citizenship, trying to say that if your parents were immigrants and you were born in this country that you're not a citizen, we're done. There's gonna be a whole lot of people leaving here, because there's a whole lot of people that are descendants of immigrants that gonna have to go.
Where are they gonna go? I think this is probably one of the simplest humanitarian questions that we can ask, not only ourselves, but our lawmakers, is where do we really expect or anticipate these people can go? And not our problem is not a valid answer. We are all in this together. There is only one human family. We all live on the same planet. You cannot... We are never going to make the United States a white nation, and we are never going to just send all the blacks back to Africa. Sorry, not happening. But it does awfully.
And I mean, and I was just going to say, what's at stake here is the Constitution. Now, we've talked previously about there's some things need to be amended or whatever, but not torn down. What they're looking to do to the Constitution is not add things that could not have been foreseen back in the beginning of time when this thing was written, but to look at it in the spirit of what it was and where we are now, and maybe add some other amendments to it, but not just tear it down. And that's what's happening now. They're tearing it down.
Yeah, very true. I said that in the pre-show, right? That we are witnessing the deconstruction of American democracy in favor of a shell game, in favor of a con man, in favor of putting hotels on the beaches of Gaza and the beaches of Qatar and wherever else. There's a pile of money sitting around, and I saw one like there's a meme of Trump walking behind the crown prince and kind of slapping him on the shoulder. Well, in their culture, nobody touches the crown prince. So I'm pretty sure Donald probably knows this, right? This is one of his little power plays. Well, in the video, he walks by and he taps the crown prince, and the crown prince snaps his head like, who in the is got the, like, and by this time, Trump's already on the other side of him. So, and it makes the crowd. I'm surprised they don't just dismember Trump and hide the body like they do to journalists. Like, he touched the prince. That's it. You're done, dude. Get that man to the gulag. Like, how arrogant and how just slimy. Like, this whole thing, this whole Middle East trip is dripping in watch me like here's me screwing the American public, and I'm gonna pay you $5 to come in and watch the movie of me doing it. I'm gonna
here it's at for me, as I looked at this and all the distraction or what appears to be distractions that are taking place to keep people off balance. When I think about the storyline, if you will, that is taking people's minds and aspirations and wishes away from harmony and humanity and working together as this one great big globe that works together to raise the boats of all. This current administration and people like that are trying to, it's a money grab, as you said earlier. Now, just imagine, because the more Trump is able to pull this autocratic stuff off, other smaller countries will make some kind of alignments with us, either with tariffs or arms deals or food deals or whatever. And that will start happening in other countries with those leaders. Imagine if there were no leaders on the planet that had a democratic idea or we can call it what we want, but an idea that supports humanity and the upliftment of all people. Given the technology that's on the rise, we could see some real dystopic movie stuff going on here between the haves and the have-nots that will be devastating.
Yeah. Folks, I came up with that right. We're watching this shell game, this game of 3-card Monty go on because there's something happening under the table that we don't even know about, that nobody knows about. There's some deal going down. There's some alliance being built. There's something happening that is being talked about behind closed doors and isn't even being looked at, isn't even being reported. And I don't know who knows what the end game is. It seems like they're still making their progress on Project 2025, but I don't think it's even in there. This is some double dealing, sneaky ass spy type bullshit. And it's happened. And our president's the one running the con.
Yeah.
It would probably really piss him off to compare him to George Clooney, wouldn't it? It'd get under his skin if we started comparing him to George Clooney, make him the con man, and like Ocean's 47.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I mean, we poke a little.
What happens when you're too fat to climb through an elevator shaft? Ocean's 47.
And we poke a little fun here to keep some levity, right? They say I'm laughing to keep from crying, but how do we begin to put a foundational stake in the ground, if you will, that there is power and presence in the universe that is always working toward the betterment and the upliftment and the health of this globe, of this planet. Just like our body is constantly seeking to keep a certain state of blood flow, of air flow, of chemical makeup, of electrical nuance, if you will, that keeps the whole machine working. Any one of those gets too out of balance, we have problems. And what's being done right now is these systems are being put out of whack, and they're getting so far apart they won't be able to regulate themselves to get back in an alignment, a balance. So we have to look at what's going on and realize there are other powers and principalities that are working besides the 47, and we need to be engaged in them. We need to activate them. We need to implement them in our lives, in addition to other things, because all of it works together. But if we don't, in 4 years, when this term is up, we would not recognize this country or this planet. We need to be taking some pictures now to be able to look back and hopefully say we got better. But as it's going, that's going to be tough.
As it's going, yeah. And I'm with you, right? I have that. I'm in that prayer work. I'm doing that work in consciousness. I'm doing that work. I'm attempting, I hope, to affect that change out in the world as well, through conversations like this and through other conversations we're having with people. And it's, well, we keep talking about it, and I think it's important we do. There is in this, there is great opportunity. There is great fear, but there is great opportunity as well. And somebody said it this past week. I forget where somebody was reminding a group of us that peace is the natural, is the baseline. It is what we are, is normal.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to go out and start trying to force peace and create peace. But we do have to go out and work to eliminate the belief that war is the natural, the conflict, that the conflict is necessary. It's difficult because everything in our society, all right, not everything, but the majority of media, the majority of conversations, the majority of what we're being served, if you will, leads us down that road of separation, division. War is necessary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such, in my mind, a slippery slope when we begin to act without understanding the environment and the laws and the rules of the game, if you will, or the drama that we're playing. Because if we look at nature, right, and we've seen a lot of new programs coming out about nature and the planet and the ecosystem and all these things that clearly show that as taught in all spiritual systems, there is an ebb and flow. There is a yin and yang. There is a point counterpoint that keeps the harmony and balance of this planet, in fact, of this universe. And when we allow that to happen, there will be shifts and balances, but there won't be catastrophic. Like if you get a cold, things in the body go in automatically. The immune system goes in and tries to bring harmony back together. Right. So, and it is needed, because if it doesn't, that cold turns into a flu, which turns into pneumonia, which turns into something else. And that is the balance that we have to take with this stuff. That is the way we have to approach life, which is the foundation of what is built on. And when we look at our leaders going counter to this, they're not looking for balance. They're not looking for harmony. It appears. I'm not in the room. They're doing something totally different.
Right. Yep. How can I make money by tearing something apart?
I think Pope Leo, and I may have said this before, but Pope Leo, when he came out and took his title, I went and said, all right, he's the 14th. Let me go see what Pope Leo the first did.
Right.
And the two things that came up that he did was, one, and I may be messing the name up, he was a part of this council of Christology, which basically was the council to determine or look at whether Jesus was human, divine, or both. That's the first one. And the second one was he stopped Attila the Hun from entering Rome on his campaign of chaos. Now, that if you just think about those two things and begin to study that creates a whole realm of work. But the thing that he said about this de facto atheism, he said that he's urging people to connect with spiritual values amidst growing secularism. And that's what's happening. People who have all the money flaunt it and do all this in this secular way. And people want that. People want to have vacations and live some luxury time and be able to buy their kids this and send them to this school. But they're putting it forward at the cost of these spiritual values that keep the harmony and balance. And we have to wake up to this 3-card Monte game, or else we're going to lose all our money, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to share what Linda's sharing, which is right on principle with New Thought, right? Each of us are aware humans in the divine order and continue to be one. Absolutely. That has not changed. Trump, however, does not grasp this. All of us, and I would agree. And it doesn't mean that the law, the power, the principles don't continue to work. They still work. They just work according to his beliefs. But as Linda's thought continues, we all have the power via our thought, speech, and actions. So yes, he is going to keep saying what he's going to keep saying, because the law is working for him, conscious of that or not, in alignment with a higher vision or not. And those of us that do take a higher vision, those that do want to see more justice and equity in the world, those of us that are not willing to compromise our spiritual understanding and growth for a few bucks and another failed hotel on a beach somewhere in the world. Now is that time for each of us to continue, to not turn a blind eye, to not give up, to not give in. I've been coming back to that quote by Ernest Holmes a lot lately. To desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we did not know the truth to begin with.
Right.
If New Thought
denies
the truth at this time, denies that we have that power to change this, if we go to that place of apathy that says, what can I do? There's nothing I can do. Well, yeah, that'll be the truth.
Yeah. And I attended a conference this week, speaking to this idea of working together, of everything and everyone belongs. Everything has to be included, or we begin to tear down the integrity of this universe. And there was a piece in there that this presenter brought up about white rhinos, right? And had some pictures and so forth, and and talking about these things date back to dinosaur time and so forth. And then the shoe dropped and said there are only 2 of them left, 2 females, I think it was, on the planet. 2 white rhinos are the only thing left on the planet. And so now they're trying to use artificial insemination and all kinds of things to keep that species alive, because there is a value that they bring to the ecosystem, to the world, to the universe. And when we begin to live in this dystopic secular world, if you will, we forget about, or we just abandon these idiosyncrasies that work together to the good of all. Gravity has never been seen. We've only seen the effects of it. But people are not jumping off buildings intentionally saying gravity doesn't exist because I don't see it. And we have to begin to hold that idea when we look at this stuff that's being presented. Ernest would always say something to the effect of, judge not according to appearances.
Right.
Don't get caught up in the effect. Look at the cause. And that's what we have to be critical thinkers. We have to be inquisitive. We have to ask the right questions if we're going to move beyond this.
Yep. Well, I think I know an easy way to save the white rhino. We just got to let Trump know that there's a white animal in jeopardy of extinction. He'll figure a way to take care of it. He'll jump in immediately, man. There ain't no way in the world he's going to let us have black rhinos without there being white rhinos. It's just not going to happen. So we just got to get this piece on his radar kind of thing, right? I'm surprised the guy hasn't tried to put an outlaw on brown eggs, to be honest with you. I'm really thinking that's coming next. My eggs, I got the whitest eggs in the world. they're cheap too. So, you know, again, folks, we do joke a bit. I try to, because laughter is the best medicine, and it's part of what gets us through. But I want to give a shout out to our dear friend, Rev Jersey girl, Michelle Wadley's with us today. The law is the law is the law, no matter who uses it. Exactly. And even when we're unaware of it, much as Z was starting to chat there, you know, gravity works, even if I try to say it doesn't. Even if I can say, watch me jump off this building and fly, and gravity's going to work. Whether I'm trying to use it or not, it's going to work. And these principles work. The law by which we teach, it works. It's a universal law of creation, and it takes what we believe and brings forth a demonstration of it. It's a pretty simple process, truly. But I believe, again, in this crisis, there is a great opportunity to prove that we believe these things, to double down on not only teaching, but living principle. And we joke and we have some fun, but I try to do my best not to attack the man. And while I don't believe he's correct, and while I believe he's leading a corrupt organization, it doesn't mean that he isn't still divine in some way. Let's go back to our conversation with Pope Leo the 13th. Was Jesus divine, human, or both? Well, we talk about the fact that we live in this spiritual experience, that we're having a human experience in this spiritual life, that this is a spiritual realm and we are here living in a human form. If that's true of my life, if that's true of the luminaries that I look up to, it is also true of those that have not evolved as far along that path, even if they end up in positions of power and happen to look more like a petulant child throwing a temper tantrum across the planet. You don't give me my plane, I'm gonna have a problem. Then hey, we've got to stand up. We've got to stand up to that, I believe.
Yeah. And you know, I would offer up for our audience, if you will, to go out and I'm just beginning to study it, because I want to understand Pope Leo the 14th here, who just came on the scene. If you go back, and I think it was in I think it was probably in if I mind 451 AD, they had this Council of Chalcedon, Chalcedon, and that was the council that did this whole thing about divine, human, or both, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in that now, because Christ is the foundation of our system in America. We're a Christian country based on the principles of Christianity, as they say. And so to understand this debate, if you will, or this discussion, or this investigation into the nature of Christ, which Christ has said, you know, whatever I do, you can do this and more. It's important to understand that, and how we resolve issues and how we get through problems. Because, I mean, I saw something the other day, just kind of a tangent, but how we have allowed ourselves to just go so far off the path. The young man who killed the United Healthcare, Luigi, I think that's his name. They now have a Broadway play about this. And now, just the other day, I think it was the Wall Street Journal made this statement that they are now investigating United Health for maybe possible Medicare fraud and you know, but why did we have to get to this point where a father was killed, leaving his wife and kids, and now the whole company is going to be in turmoil? for us to do the right thing. And so this idea of what side of the fence are we going to be, both human and divine, and act like it, or are we going to do something different?
That's a great question. I think it's one most people are not prepared to answer. Because I believe we do need to be human and divine. But more and more and more, I think we teach it, the majority, it would seem, we teach the majority of our children to be human and not worry about the divine. Part of why, and I don't want to be blanketing these, because there are a lot of people out there, and yes, everyone needs to move through their own journey to discover that, and it can't just be that Pollyannish, I'm so perfect and so are you kind of thing. There has to be, I guess, from the physical side, we have to have the experience. We have to have the both and. We have to have the pushback to understand what it is we're pushing forward.
Yeah. And which puts us, I believe, in this state of, from a spiritual perspective, secular perspective, you pick a perspective, we need to be more observant, right? There's the saying that God gave us 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we listen and look twice as much as we speak. To become observers, to become inquisitive, to become curious about things, right? We look at the age of AI, and everything it's screaming at us from that perspective is your results, your output is directly proportionate to the question that you ask.
Yeah.
And right now we're asking self-serving, exclusionary, separatist kinds of questions, and those are the answers, are the manifestations, if you will, that are taking place.
Yep. The quality of our lives is directly proportional to the quality of our questions. And that's not the first time I've ever said that in my life. So, here we are. Folks, we're going to need to wrap up. Exactly, yes. Folks, we're going to need to wrap up here in a moment or two. But before we do, we want to, number one, thank you for being a part of what we're doing here on New Thought Media Network. And this program is perhaps one of the outliers in our programming week, because we take we pull apart not just the stories, but the real feelings, the human perspective of all of this, and what it means to face the times that we're facing from a spiritual perspective, from a new thought lens. And that isn't always easy. And I'll say for myself, I'm not always right, but that's part of our journey, and that's part of how we learn, and that's part of how we grow. And it's and so having these conversations, I believe, is very, very important. And most of our programming is interviews and focused more on staying away from the political stuff. I find it interesting. So I read a little experiment, and I took an episode of our program here and wanted to promote that with some ads on YouTube, see if we could gain some viewership. Unfortunately, YouTube rejected our ad campaign because it said that we're political advertising. So,
interesting.
And there's no way to say Well, no, we're not actually advertising for anybody. We're advocating for conversation and free, the Constitution. If advocating for the Constitution is political advertising, well, then maybe. But there's no way to have a discussion with anybody at YouTube about this. There's no way to say, hey, can we reevaluate your decision? So I'm going to try again with a different episode and see if we get the same result. And if this is the program where our network discusses the political aspects of life, then I'm okay with that. Then that's what this is. And
I'm thinking we might be able to flip that script a little bit by just changing the language a little bit, just like a prompt, an AI, and say this is a program that looks at the themes of conflict, morality, and human resilience to create a better union, or to create a better world, or a better environment, or a better company, whichever one that resonates the most, because that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at that conflict and morality and sensitivity and human resilience to move beyond crisis points into a balanced harmony or harmonious way of living.
Yes. And that is my challenge for everyone that's watching, whether you're watching this live or in another time. From here forth, how about we do some spiritual advertising? How about we let our life, how about we let our language, make our language real and focus on how we bring more of this spiritual nature into our lives, into our jobs, into our workplaces, into our community halls, into the pubs, into the restaurants, into our healthcare, into all aspects of life. I want to call to Linda real quick that we live in a diverse country in which Christianity is the most commonly practiced religion. It is not the religion, and we are not yet a Christian nationalist nation. Exactly. So what if we put spirituality side by side with Christianity? What if we make New Thought equally as recognizable as Christianity? And the way we're going to do that is by living it.
Yeah. And we take the statement that Ernest puts forth at the very beginning of the manual, if you will, the textbook that anchors this teaching is, I look forward to the day when spirituality and science walk hand in hand from the visible into the invisible. Because there's a balance there. There's a unity there. And that's what we are looking to do. There's no separation. Science and religion or spirituality are deeply one.
Yep. Life is good. Folks, we're going to get out of here for today. Thanks for being with us. Please share this with your friends, your family. Let others know what we're doing here. We'll be back again next week with more of this. And please check out our other program, New Thought Today. Rev Z and I do that program on Tuesdays, where we take a deeper dive and a more of an interview style program to look at where New Thought is headed into the future. Z was on vacation this past week at a conference, as he said, but I had a great interview with Reverend Dr. Michelle Wadley, Rev Jersey Girl. Check that out in the YouTube archives. Until next time, we want to wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.